Alright, welcome to the Film Debris podcast. We're going to be talking about the new Transformers Age of Extinction today. This is Temple, and we got D over here.
What's up, what's up?
And Raul.
Hey, how's it going?
We're going to be talking about that movie, but first, some of the trailers they showed in the beginning. One that I do remember was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one.
Yeah, that definitely had an action-packed trailer to it.
Yeah, I was kind of, knowing it was a Michael Bay thing, I was kind of iffy about it. Seeing some of the trailers, I actually was excited for it, but seeing this new trailer, I actually don't know if I'm as excited now.
I still can't get over the fact that they have lips. The turtles have lips, so...
That was a little odd, man. That was just not natural for them.
Like people lips. So, I don't know. I was excited. I mean, the way they're muscular and the way that they move, it looked real good. Like, I can envision hanging out with those guys. But I would look at their mouth the whole time, like, man, what's up with your lips?
I mean, even if you were in real life looking at turtles, I would probably be staring at their mouths the whole time.
Yeah,
going, yeah. Are you real? Yeah. Your lips are so articulate.
But I like the way they moved, their motion and the mechanics. It looked really good. Like, wow, it looks nice. They look nice as, well, I guess they're not really teenagers anymore, right?
Well, I think, like, chronologically, I think they're only that old, but they look like
really old
huge dudes.
Yeah, they're just big, buff bodybuilders with turtle shells.
Yeah, and now, like, the previous movies were foam rubber suits and everything, and now they're completely CG, I think.
Yeah,
they are.
Yeah.
So it's like it's as if Michael Clark Duncan was in each of the suits. It's like that size. May he rest in peace.
Yeah. Do
you remember any of the other trailers they showed? Anything new?
What was another trailer that I've seen? Why am I drawing a blank on the trailers?
The trailers were, I think it's because they were so long.
There were so many trailers.
It took too long to get through the trailers. Like,
honestly, this was the first time of watching a movie since we've been doing this that I was like, how many more trailers are there?
Honestly, I think, too, we're just not wanting to see the trailers, want to get into the movie so quick. And we were just talking about other things.
Yeah, but the trailers are supposed to make that an enjoyable. It's supposed to build the suspense. Really, like, I was just over the trailers. Like, what the hell? Why are we having so many trailers?
You know what it is? It's actually because this is late June. I think Transformers might technically be the first summer movie because summer is June 21st. Yeah, so I think maybe it's Transformers is the first summer movie, so they threw in all the. Especially, its size of the movie and how it's that's the fourth one now.
Right.
So they're throwing all the advertisements you can, not only before the movie, but in the movie. But since we can't remember any other trailers, I guess we got to write to that. Give me 2 or 3 words on your quick synopsis of the movie, Raul. 2 or 3 words on Transformers.
That's good. Kind of cheesy.
That was 3 words.
Sorry.
Oh, we'll get back to it. D, you get 2 or 3 words to describe Transformers.
A letdown, really.
A letdown. I would say long, cartoony, attempt at humor.
No, that's it, really.
So, Raul, have you seen all 4 of the Transformers?
I've seen all 4.
And D, you've seen all 4 of them?
Yeah, I've seen all of them.
All right. Well, to be honest, right now I've only seen the first one and the last one, so the new one.
Middle ones.
So, anything I say about it, I have no context about what happened in the middle ones or how they might have improved or whatever. I only know what people have said about it, which are not always positive things. So, what do you think? What do you think of Transformers: Age of Extinction?
What I think about it, as far as the 3 previous films, this was the first movie that I had saw, and I literally thought about why they looked so fake. That was the first time that it, like, blatantly stood out to me how fake the Transformers looked. Given, I mean, obviously you know they're fake and those things aren't, like, really there, but in the first movie, I don't remember having a moment where I was like, wow, that looks really fake. Like, almost cut and paste.
I think because in the first movie, they actually look, I mean, they look better. They look like he's standing next to you. Here, I mean, you see a lot more CG, a lot more just, it's more noticeable, it's more out there.
Yeah.
They got, like, cocky, I guess.
I think with the new ones, like, other than the Autobots that we're used to seeing, the other ones that were in the movie, they looked so vibrant in color that it was almost an in-your-face, like, fakeness. You know, it's like it wasn't even doled out to look real. It was almost like intentional. Like, there's no way that was accidental in my eyes.
I think, too, like, the way they, I guess you could say, dressed, it looks like they were wearing clothes somewhat, and it's just like, they're supposed to be kind of robotic. And I mean, I understand if you watch the cartoons, like, and they evolve into different things, you know, but it's just, it didn't look right. It wasn't, it wasn't the feel that you wanted.
Was the original one, was that 2007? Does that sound about right? 2006, 2007, something like that?
I would believe so.
Because, you know, I wouldn't say we had achieved CG realism at any certain point, but, you know, there was a time in the aughts, the 2000s, where, you know, they said, oh, we can finally make movies that we weren't able to make because we've reached a level. So, like, Lord of the Rings, they're finally able to do certain things with that, and you know, you got robots and Transformers, and where they didn't have to make a complete cartoon movie or whatever. But it's weird that you said that it looks like they wore clothes, because there's something I was thinking about as far as the robots go, and you were saying the colors of the cartoon, and it kind of goes to what I was thinking is everything. One of the things I feel like I heard was one of the complaints was how confusing everything looks when the robots are, like, fighting each other or falling, because they're all made of metal, and, like, everything just looks like a blur of metal color. So I was thinking, like, adding color is a way to, you know, differentiate the different robots and whatever. Whether or not that's a plus or minus, I'm just saying maybe that's what they were trying to do to make them stand out from each other. But then the new ones, like you said, were, like, completely one color. They look like vacuum cleaners and or whatever.
Seriously. And at one point I was just thinking, like, what is the point of some of these shots? Some of the shots in the movie felt pointless to me. Like, we could have went without that shot. We could have went without this scene right here. Like, it pretty much, it didn't move forward the story. There was no plot points. There was nothing in it. It was just like, oh, well, we have extra time. Let's put this in there.
That's one of the problems I had with the first one and why I didn't watch the other ones. Not because I'm so anti-Transformers, but because, like, there were scenes in the first one that I felt like were completely, had nothing to do with anything. Like, pretty much there's a part where they're, like, tiptoeing around Sam's house. What's that?
Yeah.
And they're trying to not knock things down, and I just thought it was kind of silly, and I didn't see how them being stealthy helps their battling or whatever. And so I just felt like there were things that didn't need to be in there. And there's a way you can hide that kind of thing where you can have scenes that are funny or whatever, but still show character or still show whatever. And I think that's one of the main problems with Transformers is that they're robots and they don't have personalities. That's why they add color. That's why they add humor to give them some kind of personality, make us humans relate to them by laughing at them.
Well, I think that's what they were trying to do it a lot more in this one, and it just felt like they were really trying to get people to feel for them, but it's just, it wasn't there. Like, the idea was there, but the actual feeling and what they wanted out of it, it wasn't there. It was
I completely agree, because I want to say halfway through, but I have no idea how long I was sitting in that theater, but about halfway through I was like, I don't care about any of these characters or if they live or die. There's two characters that I was very interested in, and that was Stanley Tucci and Kelsey Grammer, and that was the business guys when they're talking back and forth. But I think it's because they were the only guys that I felt like were acting, and I liked seeing some acting in the movie.
You know, and this is just my honest opinion. I felt like this Transformers, since they didn't have Shia LaBeouf or anything, I felt like they were trying to compensate for something. Mark Wahlberg, he's an okay actor. I give him credit in some of the movies he's in, but in this movie, I feel like he didn't fill those shoes. Even with their attempts at humor, I think they achieved a better shot at that with the previous actor, Shia LaBeouf.
But would you say that Mark Wahlberg filled in the action more?
Not necessarily.
Not even completely, man.
Yeah, like, not necessarily.
He kind of felt like a filler character.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, it's Mark Wahlberg, so you expect him to have action, but he didn't do anything that surprised me. He didn't do anything that I really cared about. He was just there more than anything, and worried about his daughter, which is understandable as far as fatherhood goes, but that wasn't anything that seemed to help the story go.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, he was just there.
Yeah, I mean, he was there to fill in his role as Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, he was there as the leading male.
Yeah. And I guess, he's the name recognition they got. But I noticed they had the son, or not the son, but the boyfriend character, and who metaphorically and literally is a younger version of Mark Wahlberg in a way, because he's supposed to represent the younger version, and the daughter is pretty much how they say the daughters marry their fathers.
Yeah.
And and then with Mark Wahlberg, there's a scene where he says something. He tells the kid to do something, and he says, "I'm not here to save you. I'm here to save my girlfriend." And just that moment, I realized, oh, he's Marky Mark, and he's Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
Because they're wearing the same clothes and same jackets and everything like that.
I think this whole movie could have had the exact same results without Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
I don't think he gave anything that would make this movie stand out, acting-wise, action-wise, for the comedic aspect. Nothing.
Well, he had that awesome Boston, Texas accent.
That still didn't do anything for the movie. I mean, like,
I wanted them to shut up halfway through.
I think if they wanted, like, the comedic, relief in it, they could have just had Bumblebee do the stuff he did in the previous movies. Bumblebee had those moments where he just does something for comedic relief in the previous movies.
Yeah.
This one, he was more of gung-ho, I want to hurt something, type thing. It felt like it to me anyway.
Yeah. Well, they were all...
Yeah, I can even understand that if we want to look at the Autobots' point of view, because technically they're being haunted, so everything's on high alert. But as far as these three humans that are with them, even in the other movies, you're like, why are these humans like in the middle of all this with these robots? But I understood and I appreciated a little more in the three previous movies.
Yeah.
In this movie, I was just like, okay, this is a long-ass movie.
Yeah. Well, like, I thought of that, too, and I haven't seen 2 and 3, but I was thinking, like, why are these robots tolerating these humans being around them? But, Optimus Prime's thing was honor or whatever, so, they helped him, so now he's bound to help them, and so when he goes and gets the Dinobots, he decides to enslave them.
You're going to help me with my cause, or you're going to die.
He basically turned into Megatron, in a sense.
Yeah, in all actuality.
And he killed a human, so, I mean, technically, he basically turned into Megatron.
He became a villain.
Yeah.
And that's the argument in war, and, in the ideal America is, to not become the enemy. Don't lower yourself to their level.
Yeah.
So,
what is that saying? You either die being a hero or live long enough to see yourself become a villain or something like that, right?
It's a great Jay-Z line too.
It's something like that though, right?
Yeah.
And kind of that's what happened. I mean, how many times has Optimus Prime actually died?
Yeah.
Didn't like twice?
I think so. Well, you didn't see it, I mean, but we and you did. So I think it's been like twice though.
At least 2 times.
I was thinking of it at the end of this movie that when Bumblebee comes to help Optimus Prime, I thought, well, what really are the stakes? Because even if he kills Bumblebee in the next sequel, they just make up a reason for him to be back.
Yeah.
And then there's the thing where Optimus Prime says, "Okay, we're leaving. I put the grenade. Let me take you away," and he blows up the whole area. I don't even know what it was, some kind of facility or whatever. And I was thinking, this is the reason they want to kill you.
Yeah.
Because you're destroying all of our landmarks and all of our cities and all of our...
And since when did that f***er start flying?
Dude, I was just about to say that. I mean, I understand, and I think there was a second movie where he uses one of his other Autobots and they take parts from the dying one onto him so he could fly. And I think in the third one too, he gets some kind of the same thing. But this one, he just all of a sudden, what, did he get an upgrade while we were gone or something? What the hell happened?
No, because if you see him, he should have been dormant this whole time.
Yeah, so like I mean, I guess him scanning that truck gave him an upgrade?
I
thought he just became Neo.
He believed in himself.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like.
There is no spoon. That's the problem. We're not even focusing on the big problems with this movie. With all of the Transformers movies, how big are these things really?
Yeah.
If we were to think about how big they are, what would you say they are? Like 24 feet, a story tall? How big are these things?
They're probably good. Okay, well, the thing that gets me with it is the fact that there'll be these little tiny cars, and then all of a sudden when they transform, they're like...
Yeah, they're like
how does that
2 stories
work?
big. Where's all those parts coming? And every time they're hit or they're shot and all those parts fly out, like, should they be...
Like, those parts weren't important.
Yeah, exactly, but when they go back into their car form, the car isn't missing a headlight or it's not, like, all dinged up or nothing. It still looks just as clean as before they started fighting. Even if they weren't hit, they're doing all this rolling around and all this tumbling stunts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How come the car is just as, like, beautifully painted as it was?
Well, if you want to know realistically, it's because the contracts that the producers sign with the car companies say you cannot show our car
all destroyed.
But yeah, like in the beginning, he fixes Optimus Prime, and Optimus Prime stands up inside his barn, and it's a barn, by the way. Barns are made for storing hay and storing, various tools for farming and maybe
even
a tractor.
Animals or so.
Yeah, but you don't store other sized buildings inside of a barn.
Really?
And Optimus Prime stood up and waggled and shimmied around.
Yeah, full movement.
Yeah, and he even hid under the barn. Yeah. Like he fit perfectly in that little hole. Like,
where'd that hole come from?
He turned into Wall-E and Doug.
I don't know, man. Like, I think this movie made you realize everything that's wrong with all the Transformer movies. Pretty much is what it felt like.
No, this movie made me realize. This movie made me realize that we're going the wrong way in 2014. The graphics alone should have been better. I had a problem with the way Godzilla looked. I accept that now that I've seen this movie. Godzilla looked okay compared to how these new Autobots or the Transformers. They weren't really Autobots per se. But the new Transformers that were showed in this movie, they just look so fake, so cut and paste. So cut and paste.
Did you see Days of Future Past, Raul?
Days of Future Past. Oh yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Did you see the X-Men movie? Mm-hmm. So when Godzilla came out, I gave it like a C, maybe a low C+ or something. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of people who liked it, and it's the first Godzilla movie I think I've seen. I don't think I've seen any of the other canon ones. I've seen parts of different things, and I was like, well, can I give it this grade because maybe this is exactly to tradition. Maybe this is exactly what Godzilla movies always were. Mm-hmm. In that case, if they stayed true to it, I would understand giving it a higher grade. But it was boring to me, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
I think a week later, 2 weeks later, X-Men Days of Future Past comes out, and I think it's an amazing movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, completely justified. Godzilla sucks compared to this. So, like, now you have Transformers. Now, do you think there's anything, like, I don't know how you felt about X-Men, Raul, if you liked it, but do you think this taints, like, the movie coming out like Transformers?
It's possible. Like, if you see a good movie, you expect the next one to go see to be just as good or better. And then coming to see something like this, where you just, every bone in your body is just like, this kind of sucks, is like, and then having the feeling that the movie you watched before is so much better, it just makes it so much worse to see this movie.
I think to answer that successfully, we need to figure out what aspects are we watching. Are we talking about as far as in the series of Transformer movies, like from 1 through 4, or compared to like X-Men 1 through 3 or whatever? Because in X-Men Days of Future Past, I think that was better than X-Men 3, but the graphics still looked on par. You know what I mean? It wasn't a big leap forward or a big leap backwards. It would be exactly where you would expect it to be, being a later movie. Now, in Transformers 3, or even going all the way back to Transformers 1, like I said, I don't remember having an issue with the way that it looked as far as the Transformers went. But in this movie, it stood out to me. I was like, what the hell happened? You know, we're in 2014. Why are they looking so cut and paste? That's really the only way I can describe it.
I didn't really have a big problem with the way they looked until they were in China.
Yeah.
And jumping around the buildings and these.
Well, that's
like,
when they were showed the most, though.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe it's because of that. Maybe it's
you
because
didn't get a chance
the background.
To catch it.
I felt like they're running around and you just see blue sky behind them. That's one thing. Or they're running around inside metal places, which I have something about that I was thinking about too. But when they have a bunch of buildings behind them, maybe it makes them stick out a little more. Because I don't know how they film it. I'm guessing they just film the buildings just sitting there, and then they take the Crayolas out and they make the Transformers in front of it. But what I was thinking was, so they're Transformers. They're from this other planet or Earth.
Well, their planet got destroyed, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. From the first movie.
Yeah, if you're talking about the history of.
But they're Transformers. They're metal. Everything around them is metal. Their ships are metal. They turn into metal cars. They drive around. So I was thinking about, if you are a Transformer and you're pretty much naked, if we were them on different planets, we would be naked. And if everything around you, the floor and the ground, is made of the same thing you are made of, for one thing, that's one of the parts that I felt like was kind of bland. It's hard to be excited about a robot walking through a robot hallway. But then, if you were, imagine if you were them, and you are sitting in a living room, and you're naked like they are, and your couch is made of skin, and your walls are made of skin, and your floor is made of skin, and everything is made of skin, it would be, I don't know where I'm going with it, I'm just saying it would be really weird and hard to decipher you between the surroundings.
I think that's part of the reason why they added like the clothing-like stuff.
Another thing, why is there a Japanese Transformer? Do they have Japan in... What's their planet's name?
I just think that was the way it was designed. Oh, no. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so, I mean, like, that's...
See, there's a British one. See, because
they had different societies.
Once again, spoilers for the movie business, but for their in their overseas market, they had the Japanese robot to cover that. They had the British robot to cover that, and the fat American soldier robot. Yeah, and his beard.
That was John Goodman, by the way.
Yeah, John Goodbot. Yeah, whose beard was like more animated than the robot.
Yeah,
what's funny though too, his beard looked like, I mean, it just looked like there was like hair ties in it and everything.
Yeah, there was.
Why would they make that?
I was like, how do you? Why?
People are giving him a hard time for being big or overweight or whatever.
Yeah.
You're a Transformer. Why don't you just
transform?
Yeah, sweat to the oldies a little bit.
We're still ignoring the big problem. Here's another issue that I'm having with this. just like what an issue I had with a movie like Superman. So if you're thinking about the story of the Transformers, they came to Earth. Yeah, Man of Steel, whatever. If you're thinking about the Transformers, they came to Earth because their planet was like self-destructing or whatever, and they were looking for another form of survival. A lot of places there was an all-out war, so a lot of them are dead and so on and whatnot.
Right.
Why do we keep seeing more Transformers, like new Autobots? Like, where are they coming from? Just like if you're supposed to be the last person from a planet, why do you keep seeing other relatives and distant people from that planet died? Like, where are you guys coming from? You just popping out of nowhere.
There is no Last of the Mohicans 4.
That was it. You know, and then, you know, not even spoilers, but we've been losing Autobots throughout the series. So how are we getting the same amount, the same number count than when we first started? There should be less of them. There shouldn't be that many fucking Decepticons going around. Like, where the hell are these guys coming from?
Oh, the ones that are being built.
Well, no,
besides that,
not even that. I mean, it's just you see all these random bots. All of a sudden, you're like,
where the hell did you come from?
Were you hiding under a
what have you been doing this whole time?
Why weren't you fighting in the first 3 movies?
Yeah, exactly. Like, where
have you been? These
long-lost Autobots or Decepticons, where are they coming from?
Well,
they're breeding.
What was the metal name? What did they call the metal? Unobtainium? Transformium or something?
Yeah, something like that. So cheesy.
I mean, I guess if, you know, you're saying about the, what is it, the matter transformation, now it's conservation of mass, you know, they're tall, giant robots that are as big as this movie theater, and then they become the smallest sports vehicles.
Yeah, they become like a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Lamborghinis aren't that big of cars. They're like 6 inches off the ground. You know, these small little cars, but they stand up, they transform into these big, enormous infrastructures, and it's like, where's all that extra stuff going? Where's it going? Where's it coming from?
You know, I think I noticed it more so when I don't know if it's the third one or the second one, where the bikes, and they transform freaking huge, and you're like, the bike's like, like a little thing. How do you have a big robot?
Where are those parts coming from?
Yeah, like the bikes were almost as big as Bumblebee. Like, how is that possible? It doesn't make sense to me.
I think this is the first movie where they actually ran out of bullets. Like, are they reproducing those bullets themselves? Where are they getting that ammo from?
I don't know, man. The big guy, John Goodman's robot.
John Goodbot.
John Goodbot. he was sitting there chewing on a round the entire time, and he's like, "I'm out of ammo," and then chomps on it and it shoots. I'm like, how? Okay.
You always save one in case you're backed into a corner.
No, but the point is, they've been on Earth. We've witnessed them go through about 3 or 4 different wars. Are they making their own ammo? Like, when do they have time to do all this shit?
See, if I were making a Transformer, I would make underneath their feet, like the soles of their feet, would become recycling things. So they just step on metal, and it turns it into a round of something. So they can just shoot it.
That would make more sense, though, than what they do now.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry to put logic into it. All logic aside, which is something you don't usually say for reviewing things.
Right.
What are some good things you liked about this movie? Raul, I'll give you the tough position.
You give me the first. Okay.
Something you liked.
To be honest, I didn't like too much about this movie.
I didn't plan to go into this like just totally bashing it. But I mean,
it happened. But I mean, it's what can you do if that's like the way you honestly feel about the movie? It's just like, I didn't really like. There wasn't too much that I liked about it. I mean, I didn't. There wasn't anything I was like, oh man, that part is awesome. It was just,
you didn't like the Dinobots?
Whatever, man. It's just like it's just like Mark Wahlberg's character is a filler.
Yeah.
It's just something to try to make it more exciting.
Yeah.
I like the battle between Mark Wahlberg's character and the new guy, like the boyfriend. I like the battle of how, you know, all these guys, I mean, at one point we're going to have that battle, you know, you're overprotective of your daughter or whatever, and you only want the right person to be with her, and those kids are trying to, like, prove themselves. So I like that conflict that Mark Wahlberg, the father, and the new boyfriend had, especially since they, like, hadn't even met before. So that the big reveal, that I like that in the movie.
Yeah.
I did like how the Autobots looked, but not the newer Transformers that were introduced in this movie. I think the Autobots didn't have that fake cut and paste look. They looked normal to me. I liked the state of peril that us humans are, especially after a big battle like Chicago. They keep referring back to the Battle of Chicago or whatever. I like how it shows how we're reacting to that situation and what steps we've taken as a race that is like this close to being extinct to keep that from passing. But other than that, pretty much
what I liked about it, like I said, I like Stanley Tucci. I mean, I thought he was funnier than the other characters, but still, it wasn't enough for. I don't know if I ever laughed, but I think he's entertaining, and I like Kelsey Grammer. I like their scenes together because I think of the human element in it. But yeah, I mean, I can't remember the first Transformers movie that much, you know, specifically like how they looked.
Yeah.
But I mean, I liked how they looked different.
Yeah.
But then the main bad guy robot was
Lockdown.
Lockdown. Whenever he came on the screen, I had to be reminded who he was because it was just a gray robot. An hour and a half into it, I was like, well, I guess this must be almost over.
Yeah.
An hour and a half later, I was like,
wow, this is an in-depth movie. An in-depth movie that kind of went nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, with all the time that was put into this movie, we should know a little bit more. Like, these characters were just thrown at us with no real reason for why. Like, we're introduced to, you guys said, Lockdown.
Yeah.
Where has he been this whole time? This war, supposedly, if you want to think about it, has been going on for a few years now. Why is he just now popping up? Why not in the second or third movie? You know, like, what the hell has he been doing? And then even when he's there, we don't even know why he's there. I mean, they eventually explain why he's there, or you get the point of why he's there. But why is he working with the humans?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, why would he even need to? Like, once again, from if you were in their shoes, like, why are you even?
We wouldn't run up
insects.
I mean, we wouldn't run up to ants and ask them for help. Like, hey, I need
this ant saved my life. Let me go help his family. You know.
I'd be like, oh, thank you. Good looking out. Now go on about your day.
Yeah, run.
I appreciate that, but I'm not gonna tell me or my clan to, you know, throw our lives away for you.
Well, so final thoughts, final grades on Transformers: Age of Extinction. I'll start with me this time. This being the first, I'll say basically my first Transformer movie. When I was a kid, I used to watch the cartoon, and I used to have the Transformer toys, and I used to be a big fan of theirs. And after seeing the first movie, I was completely out, and it's just like I don't even feel bad about not caring about the Transformers anymore. So this one being really my first movie, I think if they cut the movie down by an hour,
at least,
and edited some stuff, you'd still have, I think, an entertaining story with the humans. But then again, if you don't have the Transformers in it, then I just called humans. I can't say I'm disappointed because I didn't have high hopes, but I wasn't expecting to be bored. And when I was sitting in the theater, I was bored. And
especially
even there's explosions going on, and there's all kinds of people running around and things going on. I was bored.
Yeah. I would say. As far as my thoughts in the movie, if I were to give it a rating, I would say probably a C minus. No, okay, I'll give it a C plus. I'll give it a C plus. It could be higher, but I think the movie is too long, and not to have walked away feeling like it explained anything. I didn't like how the new Transformers, how they looked. You know, it could have been done a little bit better, especially since the first movies didn't look that way. It should have been an improvement and not a digression as far as how we're utilizing our graphics or anything like that. There was no real character growth throughout the movie. You just see a father hate a guy and then be like, okay, you're cool.
Yeah,
you're all right in my book.
I thought that kid needed a punch in the face a couple times.
A few times.
Yeah, because even if you're trying to show how tough you are, you shouldn't be disrespecting your girlfriend's father.
Yeah, and what was she thinking the whole time? Like,
yeah. You're going to be with a guy who's treating your dad, talking to your dad like that?
Yeah, granted, like, he drove them out of a situation, but it didn't, there was just no, what were you there for anyway? Like, what, how'd you just know this was happening? You know, were you already on your way over?
that's kind of something I was, like, had a big question about. Like, why was he
sitting
on their farm for? Like,
is that what she ran back into the house for? Or I might be getting the timeline's confused, but
I don't know. I don't even know.
She was in there doing homework when they pulled up, and all of a sudden he saved the day.
Probably with her legs up. In shorts.
Nice.
We'll get to Raul in a moment, but earlier in the movie, I was like very happy for the cameramen. Yeah. I was like, wow, those cameramen are so brave and strong, because they were trying to make a movie, and the cameramen kept falling on the ground and like holding the camera up still.
Yeah.
You know, and they kept acting, and they kept rolling, but you know, the cameraman kept going even though he fell on the ground and had to film upwards.
Yeah.
So I was impressed with those guys. That was all sarcastic.
To you, cameraman.
Maybe that's just the Michael Bay staple, one of those.
I thought it was the lens flare.
Well, that's JJ. Yeah. So you can look forward to that in Star Wars. Raul, any final thoughts? Like
I wouldn't even know what to grade this movie, to be honest. I mean, I don't think I was like excited to see it. I kind of wanted to see how it would turn out. I mean, 3 movies in already, it's just like, it's kind of the same thing over and over. And then something that happens with sequels is just, especially if they can't grow on it, they can't make it grow, they can't make it better. They just kind of do the same thing with different characters or a different way about doing it. But like, I wouldn't know what to grade this movie. It's just not.
Yeah.
It wasn't there for me. I mean, I think at one point, like, getting towards the end of the movie, I was starting to fall asleep, which is bad.
Yeah.
I never fall asleep during movies. I usually stay up and I want to watch them, but it's just, this one's just like.
It does say something when you're watching action movie, when you're like thinking to yourself, like, damn, action and all, like, how long is this movie? When you start questioning the time of a movie, that's when you know it's too long. Like, why is it that long? You got explosions around you, but all you could think about is like, damn, how long have I been here?
This movie was as long as the film Lincoln. We did the whole Lincoln. But you brought up an interesting like thing where, like, the characters have to grow, you know, and because they're robots and they don't have human personalities and traits, except for the forced humor that they try to put in there to make us like them, like, they can't really grow. By definition, they can't really grow. I mean, they're artificial intelligence, so they grew a certain amount where they can, I guess they don't reproduce because there's only 5 of them, I don't know, whatever left. But the characters don't really grow, so what do? They put in human characters. So you put in an actor like Mark Wahlberg, to fill in that void of personality. So I'm guessing next it'll be Keanu Reeves. So I mean,
that would be horrible.
So the reason you go in for the Transformers is not to see that, I guess, right? Because so many people go to it, it's for the action. So I guess you're sitting there for 3 hours to see
things go boom.
Yeah. So.
Well, it was a Michael Bay film, so I mean, you know.
Yeah, but 2 out of 3 of us just said that we were bored with the booms, and I know for me, when there's nothing behind it, and I don't care about the characters and the robots. If they die, they're going to come back anyway. There's no stakes, so there's no reason for me to be invested in the boom.
Yeah.
But that's Transformers. I didn't expect to totally. Well, I mean, I didn't totally dislike it, but there weren't enough human elements in it for me. But you know, Transformers. What are you going to do?
Hey, on the bright side, I do remember another preview. Dracula.
Oh, yeah. Dracula. I like that. I like Dracula. I like that trailer.
Anthony likes Dracula.
I do. I thought it was bomb. I was like, oh, snap, son. Why are we watching Transformers? We should be watching that.
Was that coming out this year later? Probably October.
Yeah, October.
Because I think that was one of the last ones we saw.
It's October. Shit.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
We just remember 2 trailers out of...
2 trailers out of 20.
Well, I mean, it was 3 hours ago. But yeah, I was going to say I don't really want to get too excited. I mean, I'd like to see... Hopefully they're like going for a raw Dracula after the Twilight debacle's done. Maybe now we can see like a, old school. And I was kind of wanting to see something like that.
Or at least that's what it looked like in the trailer. The trailer was kind of
It's what, his beginnings, basically?
Yeah, like the origins.
Yeah.
So if people wanted to talk to you, Raul, and let you know what they thought about things, is there anywhere they would find you that you are okay with them finding you? What's your phone number?
What's your address?
Yeah, I don't know.
Alright, don't go looking for Raul.
Yeah, it's kind of hard.
You won't be able to find him. D, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at yourboyconcepts, YABOIKONCEPTS. And that's pretty much it.
And me, you can find Temple at on Twitter at Masterside. Make sure you you're already on Filmdery, hopefully. You can hear more audio things there, more videos, hopefully someday. As it goes throughout the years, make sure you go to siteheist.com for movie reviews and stuff. And this is pretty much all we got to say. So for Raul, Deanthony, this is Temple. Thank you for listening.
Peace.